Southeast Asia is falling behind on ESG, with just 41% of CFOs assessing risks and only 40% reporting metrics. Singapore aims to lead in sustainability, but how does it really compare? To discuss this, we are joined today by Nikki Kemp from Singapore Green Finance Centre and Ho Kok Yong from Deloitte. How does Singapore's ESG adoption compare to other Asia-Pacific markets?
Deloitte Insights Asia Pacific CFO survey indicates that CFOs in Singapore are behind other regions in Asia Pacific in incorporating ESG into financial decision making, with only about 1/3 of CFOs reporting that they are undertaking ESG risk assessment and just 40% reporting on ESG initiatives to stakeholders. In our conversation with the CFOs, we observe a broad recognition of the growing importance and urgency of ESG priorities. While sustainability may have been an optional good to have in the last few years, it has since become a non-negotiable requirement. Despite this widespread acknowledgement of ESG as an area of priority for CFOs, our findings reveal that less than 1/4 of our respondents are incorporating climate and ESG considerations into their operating models, with the overwhelming majority currently only in exploratory or experimentation phases.
In 2024, a survey showed that Singapore is one of only 7 countries globally where all top 100 companies report on sustainability. Specifically, 6 out of the 12 benchmarks were outperformances for Singapore. There's 3 I'd like to highlight. Climate change is a financial risk, where 55% of companies globally recognize climate change as a financial risk to their business. In Singapore, that's 76% of those top 100 companies. And that's up from 49% just 2 years ago here in Singapore. The second is strengthening governance leadership. The proportion of companies with a board or leadership representative responsible for sustainability governance is now 55% in Singapore, up from 35% in 2022. And the third is integration of ESG in reporting, where Singapore has 84% of the top 100 companies now integrating ESG information into their annual reports. And this compares very well against the global average of 62%.
Well, thank you both for those answers. Kok Yong, while you're in the discussion, if Singapore leads in sustainability, what's holding CFOs back from fully integrating ESG?
Yes, I guess there's really a lot of room for improvement. I guess we need to look at what are the barriers that are actually cited by the respondents when we come to holding them back from integrating ESG. A lot of them are telling us that talent resources, shortages, capabilities, difficulty in measuring ESG impact and competing business priorities are key consideration points. So the CFOs face tough trade-offs that come with advancing climate and ESG priorities. So this would include things like sustainable procurement and materials with often increased costs, impact margins, required internal cost savings, or price adjustments. So I think another data point is only a minority, around 16%, are aligning capital allocation with ESG goals. So from a financial decision-making point of view, key actions that CFOs are taking include conducting ESG risk assessments, reporting on ESG initiatives to stakeholders, and establishing ESG performance metrics. I guess holding back probably would be what I cited earlier on, barriers and talent, source shortages, capabilities, difficulty measuring, because the CFOs are telling us that they can't really see the value of ESG.
What's really encouraging in Singapore is that about 82% or 8 out of 10 companies are incorporating ESG metrics within executive incentive plans. So if we think about the CFO and driving the outcomes for the business, ensuring that these or sufficient metrics around ESG are in incentive plans is a very good start. And if we compare that 82% to the world average, the global average of 81%, and in North America 77% and Europe 94%, it's very strong. But the challenge still exists about how these incentives are linked to each function within the organization. And the CFOs are faced with the challenge of how each organizational function can integrate sustainability initiatives with long-term value creation objectives. CFOs today really have to apply their financial and process expertise to these complexities that are inherent in what is quite a really complex sustainability reporting landscape. And they need to do this while also aligning with corporate agendas, fostering resilience for the company, and of course, stakeholder trust.
So, Nikki, I'm sure our viewers would be very interested to understand, how can companies overcome ESG measurement challenges and improve sustainability reporting?
If we keep talking about financial versus non-financial targets, which is kind of where we're talking at the moment, then the financial will always win. So some research we've been doing or supporting at the Singapore Green Finance Centre is how to bring those critical non-financial items that we often hear referred to as externalities because they're external to the primary business drivers, and how to bring those measurements into the financials. Our Professor Liang Hao, who works closely with the Singapore Green Finance Centre, has been researching this together with professors at Harvard Business School and the Impact Institute in the Netherlands to develop what they're calling an impact-weighted accounting framework. And this framework evaluates the impact of those externalities in financial terms and converts them from being external to being internal on the balance sheet of a company.
So our research revealed that many CFOs are embedding, if not looking to embed ESG into their company's DNA. To ensure that ESG efforts do not fall by the wayside, largely I think CFOs need to do three things. Number one, consider establishing a regular cadence of meetings and shareholder updates. So in order to effectively identify barriers and gaps, it may also be necessary for the CFO to conduct a rigorous analysis of existing ESG-related structures, processes, and teams. So at this juncture, I think a lot of the CFOs should also consider how they can establish effective management systems to collect, maintain, and report their ESG data. So I think the second point is really to make sure that your data has been independently verified. Having both a third party and an internal audit of ESG data can convey a simple but powerful message to your investors. The company does not treat ESG as merely a check-the-box exercise, but rather management team aims to provide comprehensive and transparent disclosures. So provide clear, transparent, and consistent reporting to stakeholders is the last point that I just want to touch on. So beyond communicating ESG goals, it is really essential that CFOs are transparent to all stakeholders about the steps the organization is taking to meet these goals. So the time for CFOs to take this on is now, when trust is key and expectations are heightened and before additional regulations roll.
Well, thank you both for joining us today, Nikki and Kok Yong.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Once again, our guests were Nikki Kemp, Executive Director of Singapore Green Finance Centre, and Ho Kok Yong, AP's CFO Program Leader at Deloitte. For more news, please visit sbr.com.sg.